Are fans losing faith in WWE? Over the past week or so, the landscape in WWE has dramatically changed. From a negatively received Royal Rumble to WWE releasing a plethora of names, fans are starting to question the direction WWE are going in as a company. And this is unprecedented when it comes to the Triple H era. So what exactly is going wrong? Are the fans truly losing faith in WWE's booking? Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new videos on Wrestlelamia XL. The Royal Rumble disaster. The 2025 Royal Rumble didn't go the way WWE intended. WWE decided to book Jey Uso to win the men's matchup, and this was a decision that received widespread criticism. Fans jumped to social media to share their disdain over the booking, and the YouTube dislikes spoke for themselves. Ultimately, this negative reaction didn't extend to the live crowds as Jey had remained insanely over, but fans are still questioning if Jey wrestling for the world title at WrestleMania 41 is the right call. When it comes to Charlotte Flair, her win has been a total train wreck. Flair would win the match, and similarly to Jey, fans let their voices be heard by disliking official YouTube videos relating to a win. Hell, even a press conference got bombed with dislikes. But unlike Jey, the fan resentment towards the booking move carried over to television, as during a supposedly babyface promo on Raw, Flair was heavily booed. What Flair's win shows is a total disconnect between WWE Creative and the fans. WWE Creative assumed that Flair returning and being the same brash, arrogant character would translate well and make fans finally root for her. Whilst Flair did return from an injury, she returned and instantly won the Royal Rumble. Where was the adversity? Where's the character struggle that's been so present with top babyfaces such as Cody Rhodes and LA Knight? Now, it was reported this week that WWE may be switching up the planned Flair vs Tiffany Stratton matchup at WrestleMania 41. And whilst these initial plans were to see Flair enter the match as the heroic babyface, this has now changed, and Flair will walk into the show as a heel. Now, this is the right move for WWE to make, but this is something that could have been avoided if WWE just presented Flair as a heel from the moment she returned. The releases. The resentment towards WWE following the Royal Rumble continued, as it would announce a range of names that have been released from the company. These names range from the Good Brothers to Blair Davenport, and whilst hardly any of these names were used on television, cutting talent when the company is firing on all cylinders isn't great for morale. Especially after it was reported by Dr. Chris Featherstone that talent were caught off guard from the recent string of releases, especially since most of them were recently on television or scheduled to receive more exposure. WWE going from actively bragging about attendance records and gate revenue to releasing a bunch of wrestlers is an odd juxtaposition, and one that just doesn't paint WWE in the best light. WWE would also release a talent whilst they were injured, as Carl Anderson is on the injured list, and despite this, WWE made the rare move to release him from his contract. This is something that WWE quite rightly should avoid, but the policy is now gone out of the window. In relation to why these names were released, it was reported that WWE was going to shake up the roster and move people up from NXT. Whilst it sounds great on paper, annihilating the roster of an already struggling NXT brand isn't the smartest move in the world. The NXT creative team has been notably having a difficult task in finding names for the top of the men's division, and they're even using Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Since SmackDown is officially a 3-hour product, and releasing names whilst the 3-hour format is already stale is just confusing and bewildering. Wouldn't it make more sense to use some of the names such as Cedric Alexander and Isla Dawn for roles on the Blue brand? In relation to Dawn, she was literally one half of the women's tag team champions last summer, and now she's unemployed, despite WWE having hardly any teams within the women's division. It just doesn't add up, and fans are demanding answers. The booking of WrestleMania 41. Now we're under 10 weeks away from the biggest show of the year, and as things stand, things are looking a bit bleak. A few months ago, it seemed like a given that names such as The Rock would be featured on the show, and it also appeared that the top matches would include John Cena vs Gunther and potentially CM Punk vs Seth Rollins. WWE have since decided to rip this WrestleMania card to pieces, and the only match that is currently destined for the show is Gunther vs Jey Uso, a match that was featured on Saturday night's main event just 3 weeks ago. One of the names that fans wanted to see featured at Mania was Io Sky. Sky was a fan favourite to win the Women's Rumble, and when WWE decided to go with Flair as the winner, there was a hope that WWE would have Sky win the Elimination Chamber match. Currently, Sky isn't in the Chamber match, and this has led to a lot of upset from fans. This past weekend, Sky was trending on X, and this was because fans were sharing how disgruntled they were with her presentation. It was also reported coming out of the Rumble that WWE would be building towards a Rhea Ripley vs Bianca Belair match at Mania, and if this is the concrete creative plan WWE have, then obviously Sky won't be wrestling for the world title at WrestleMania. There also just seems to be no hype whatsoever heading into the show of shows, and WWE are struggling to move tickets, with just over 40,000 sold for each respective night. The ticket prices are through the roof, and WWE are simply relying on the product being supposedly hot to convince fans to make a once-in-a-lifetime purchase. But this isn't going to happen this year. What WWE needs to do is focus on building a compelling WrestleMania card, and they need to give fans a WrestleMania card that warrants the significant price tag. Currently, WWE are taking the passion and love from the fans for granted, and this could lead to major problems. So what is going on with the product? One of the things that's missing from the WWE product right now is an edge. The hype following the Netflix launch has died down now, and we're now in the midst of a WrestleMania season with not a single compelling story on either respective show. Cody Rhodes looks set to once again feud with Solo Sikoa. Why WWE have taken this direction is anyone's guess. The feud between the two was without a doubt the weakest part of Rhodes' WWE title reign so far, and even though the feud climaxed in a steel cage match, WWE are going back to this again. Who is this feud for? What is the appeal? Wouldn't it make more sense for WWE to have spent the first portion of 2025 building up names such as Carmelo Hayes or Andrade so Rhodes had a credible opponent? It's just nonsensical booking that alienates the audience, and as a result of the added extra hour on SmackDown, it's greatly suffered by it. Whilst this should have led to more talent getting exposure, this isn't what's happening, and WWE have made the odd move of actively moving talent such as Logan Paul and AJ Styles away from the Blue Brand. The Blue Brand's roster is insanely thin, and they are struggling to present new matches on a weekly basis. It's clear based on Triple H's comments that he believes that 2.5 hours is a sweet spot for a weekly television show, and booking a 3-hour SmackDown with a limited roster is proving to be one of the game's most difficult tasks to date. Are talent happy backstage? And one of the main stories coming out of the Royal Rumble focused on Drew McIntyre. McIntyre reportedly stormed out following the match as his elimination spot went wrong, and the former champion wasn't best pleased with the planned idea of working with Damian Priest at WrestleMania, with reports calling it a nothing match. Now, although McIntyre did calm down and was fine working with the man he had an issue with at the Rumble, that being LA Knight, McIntyre does have a strong point here. McIntyre was without a doubt the hottest and most compelling character on television in 2024, and for him to be rewarded with a nothing match with Priest on the grand stage is a bit of a spit in the face. The match won't be anywhere near the main event of either night, and the fans will struggle to care about the match itself. Fans are hoping that WWE pivots, but they're slowly becoming a company that is forced to pivot on every major call, as they lack basic understanding of what the fans really want. There have been no other concrete reports on wrestlers being unhappy, but with the WrestleMania main events up in the air, talent being released, and Triple H seemingly making things up as he goes along, there will no doubt be an element of concern and apprehension within the WWE locker room. So has the cockiness backfired? WWE likes to pride themselves on setting records left, right, and center, and it's become a trend for WWE to break attendance records, and they like to even brag about setting record gates. Whilst this is all well and good, it shows that the ticket prices though are through the roof, and naturally making these kinds of announcements, then delivering a mediocre product, as well as releasing names, is a strategy that could soon catch up to WWE in a very negative manner. The expression WWE is on fire right now is used by WWE themselves, and whilst this may be the case when it comes to attendance and TV deals, right now the same couldn't be said for the fans' faith in the WWE product, and they need to act with urgency to turn things around. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.